think I'm gonna get a lot of hate from the real estate community on this one.
You eating your towel? That's normal.
It kind of stinks because I consider myself an advocate of the real estate community, and I also don't want to come across as coming off some kind of high horse and telling you something. But if you're gonna click out after 20 seconds, oh wait, no, you have to watch the whole video this time. Because you know, if you don't watch until the very end, then well, it'll make me sad. That's about it. So maybe you can get the point in less time. Alright, in all seriousness, this is very valuable. If you own real estate, you're ever thinking of selling real estate or getting into real estate, you gotta know this. And if you're a real estate agent in your community, then I'm sorry. But I'm my own broker, so I get to do what I want. Now, this isn't to say that I'm always right. I mean, I could be wrong, although I am the market expert in this neighborhood. Oh, for sale by, cut that out. For sale by owner sign, right? What is that? I get a different angle. All right, you guys want to know the problem straight up? Straight up, it's pocket listings. That's right, listings held in the pocket. Let's talk some more about what the heck those are and why they're horrible for you as an owner of real estate and possibly pretty bad for you as a buyer of real estate too. So what is a pocket listing? A pocket listing is when an agent goes into a listing appointment, gets the contract, beats out the other agents to get it, and when they walk out of there, technically they have a signed up listing contract, which is called a coming soon listing. Ah, smells like manure. So when a listing is considered a coming soon listing, it basically means it has a tentative listing date and it has a tentative listing price. Both of those could change depending on circumstances, perhaps the upgrades the seller does or doesn't do. It's during that coming soon period of time that, in theory, a listing is held in the pocket. That is, if the listing agent didn't tell anybody they had this listing coming up, nobody would know about it. When it's deemed a coming soon listing, only the listing agent knows how to access the property, how to get in, and how to sneak people in. It's often on the vacant properties that they can really sneak people in and try to get their own people to buy the place. That is, if they run Facebook ads or they run newspaper ads or whatever it is they do, they pick up the phone and start cold calling, say, hey, I got a pocket listing, do you want to come buy it? Of course that buyer wants to see it, and of course buyers in general want to buy it because it often means they're able to get a way better deal, and the seller's the one that's getting kind of, you know. The benefit to the agent is this. See, usually compensation structure in real estate works such that the buyer's agent gets 2.5% of the listing or final sale price. The listing side usually also matches that at 2.5%. There's some discount services that offer that listing side for less. You're still usually paying 2.5% to the buyer side. So what that means is if the listing agent has a property with a ready, willing, and able seller, and they can sell it to their own buyer, they're able to not split the commission, take both sides, and ultimately make more money. Now that doesn't mean they get the full amount. They may have negotiated a discounted dual agent rate. Say the typical 2-agent deal would be 5% total, maybe it's negotiated down to 4% because I mean, now the agent's representing both sides and it's win-win for the seller. It's another way to sort of convince the seller, hey, you should go for this, you save 1%. And on the other hand, the agent makes an additional 1.5%. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with this. Dual agents can oftentimes make a deal a lot easier, a lot simpler, a lot more stress-free for all parties involved, because really, they have the best line of communication. It's with themselves. They know the details of all sides. Now, you're not supposed to divulge personal information. You can't tell the buyer, hey, the seller's gonna take this. You can't tell the seller, hey, the buyer will pay this. So you have to be really neutral with it, but it still tends to be an easier deal, so the discounted rate, it's pretty reasonable, it's fair. That's not always true, but that's what you see often. So by no means am I trying to say the agent is solely motivated by selfish purposes. Am I bleeding? Ultimately, that would be a misrepresentation. A lot of agents are the most extremely hard-working agents and people that I know. In fact, agents have a really bad reputation for just showing property and having a good old time. Not true. They usually sleep very little and they have a very high stress and demanding job. Now, what if the agent themselves can't find a buyer? What if they have to start advertising it to other agents? Well, the first thing they'd like to do is offer it to other agents within their brokerages. The reason for that, it's kind of like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. If I'm a listing agent, I bring you a deal so you can make your buyers really happy before my listing goes on the market. You owe me one. You know, I want to get my buyer into one of your coming soon listings. The brokers encourage this because they take a cut of the agent's commissions. I also don't blame them for that. All the liabilities in-house, but everybody makes more, everybody wins. Ultimately, the sellers perceive a benefit because they don't have to do open houses, broker tours, photographs, you know, all that stuff that's deemed necessary to sell a house. We'll have more videos coming out about that. Ow! Ugh. Ugh. Ow! Well, wait a minute, Kevin. You said that this was a scam, that there were 3 big reasons this was a bad idea. What is happening? Yep, that's what we're gonna talk about right now. Hey, come back here. You gotta know about the 3 reasons. We're just getting started. I gotta tell you about the 3 reasons. Folks, number 1, the seller doesn't get market value. I don't care if the seller's already picked a price and they're getting full price. The seller doesn't get market value if a house sells before it hits the market. I tell that to all of my clients. Is that always true? No. In an appreciating market, is it often true? Yes. And that's where we're gonna break apart these 3 points here. Detail on number 1. In an appreciating market, all of the comps are garbage. In fact, I made a video about this at the beginning of 2017 somewhere. Actually, I think I even called it all of the comps are garbage. Anyway, the point is, the market changes, especially from December, November to springtime. That should be pretty obvious. So what happens is, you get a lot of sellers who price their properties based on November, December comps, and then put it coming soon on the market in the springtime. Some buyer swoops in and offers full price. The seller thinks they're getting a good deal. And unfortunately, they had no idea that maybe they could have gotten more. Maybe they couldn't have. But let's analyze point number 1, because maybe they couldn't have leads into point number 2. So let me stop myself from, getting ahead of myself. Here's the thing, today's sophisticated buyers who are out there writing offers and have a pre-approval letter ready to go, they're making offers, they are not waiting for somebody to call them to say, hey, you should go look at this house. They're not waiting for an open house sign, and they're not waiting to find or spot a for sale sign or an ad in Homes and Lands. So you get a lot of very sophisticated buyers who have already set themselves up on every multiple listing service portal known to man so that they make sure they don't miss a good deal. If you're writing offers out there, you don't want to miss a good deal, neither does your competition. Everybody wants to be the first one in line. People are now wearing Apple Watches, so they get the listing photos the second a property hits the market, and they decide right there, do I want to schedule a showing for this, or am I archiving this mail? So guess what? If you ever see a listing hit the market without pictures, you got the upper edge, because most people just delete that email and never look again. Upper edge, I'm making up stuff now. How about upper hand? So, continuing on point 1, if a seller doesn't put the property on the market, they don't get exposed to the existing buyer pool that's looking for their specific home. If they don't get exposed to the buyer pool, they're not getting exposed to the market. And, come on folks, this is simple econ from high school. You draw a little chart, P and Q creates supply and demand, and if you ain't got any demand because only one person's looking at it, how are you gonna know you got the right price? You don't. You'll never know. So that's where the seller predicament comes in. If a seller lets a potential buyer into their house during the coming soon phase, and the buyer says, that's it, I'm making the offer right now. Now the seller looks around going, well dang it. Maybe this is a full price offer, but what if I could have gotten more if I put it on the market? Am I just being greedy, or am I leaving $20,000 on the table? And if I reject this offer, what if this was the best offer, and now I just, alienated this buyer because I rejected them and put it on the market and kind of slapped them in the face, and now they're slapping me back in the face. The tip for preventing this is at the end of the video. That wasn't mine, but I'm gonna throw it away. Folks, another thing to know about the market too is there are a lot of circumstances that change what the comps say. Just look at Ventura alone. 550 houses burned down on December 4th last year.
There's nothing they can do to stop the spread.
All those comps from November aren't reflective of the fact that about 200 of those people dropped into the buyer market and just bought homes, took their insurance money and bought something else. And now interest rates went up, so you got kind of this little teeter-totter. The comps are old. Point number 2, the buyer never knows if they overpaid for the property. Here's how this works. Once a property hits the market, I am immediately within about 4 days able to tell my clients, all right, here's how the market's responding. If there's one offer, the odds are the listing price is pretty accurate. If there are 3 offers, the listing price was low. If there are no offers, the listing price is high. You can figure that out generally in our area within 4 days. Doesn't always work. I'd say it works about 90% of the time. What do I mean? The buyer might get ripped off. If the buyer comes in right away and pays full price and there wouldn't have been any competing offers, they just gave away all of their ability to negotiate and the whole escrow. They're gonna be fearful, oh, if the seller just puts the property back on the market because I asked them to fix something, you know, other buyers could come in. It's messy, and obviously there are more details associated with that, but it's just a disaster. Point number 3, pocket listings generally lower resale values in neighborhoods. In fact, this is so known that a lot of appraisers will actually toss out pre-market sales and call them unrepresentative of the market because generally they end up proving to be low sales. They could have gotten more. And if it's not exposed to the market, it's very easy for the appraiser to say this was never on the market, not a market sale. They obviously do that with short sales as well, or some kind of distressed sale, but they also do that with for sale by owners. So keep that in mind if you're ever thinking about selling a house yourself. You just got 3 reasons as to why I think pocket listings are a scam. But what's my solution? Am I just gonna tell you that sellers net less money, there's a risk that buyers will overpay, and it drops values in neighborhoods? I mean, it does benefit the agent, and it does maybe make the process a little less stressful for the seller, although really I think as the agent, our job is to provide such a great service that there really is no stress on the seller, or is very little stress on the seller. I think that's my job. Anyway, here's my solution. By the way, one little extra point before the solution, it's actually not always good for the agent. It kind of rips a lot of agents off of the opportunity of being able to provide good service to their buyer. I mean, basically, agents didn't have the chance to sell a certain property or give their buyers the opportunity to buy it. That's kind of lame, you know? Then the buyer's like, oh, does my agent stink? Because, you know, they didn't have the chance to show it to me. Oh, and it just creates bitter feelings all the way around. That agent gets looked at poorly because it's like, oh, that agent just wanted to sell it themselves. And it just creates bad reputations too. Solution now. So Kevin, what's your solution? How do we prevent the scam of pocket listings? The way you prevent the scam of pocket listings is exactly this. You make sure your property is listed as a coming soon listing on a Zillow or the MLS or wherever you can put it before it hits the market. That way everybody knows about it already and you can kind of create a list of people who are interested in it. Number 2, nobody gets to see the house before it's ready to go on the market. What do I mean by that? That is, even if a neighbor's knocking on the door begging to get inside, nobody gets to come inside. It's dangerous inside, we're not sure if it's gonna be for sale yet, we don't know the price yet, it's a mess, it's embarrassing, there's underwear. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Everybody sees the house at the same time. Nobody goes in early. And as long as nobody goes in early, there's 0 chance the seller gets screwed, there's 0 chance the buyer gets screwed, and there's 0 chance other agents get screwed. It's fair game. It's a marketplace. That's how it should work. I hope that wasn't too high horsey. I got 8 seconds left on this camera because the SD card's gonna be full, so I'll see you guys later. Bye. I might be out of SD card on this. With this right here, this is an iPhone. It don't have an SD card. It's got iCloud.